Hello there friends, and prepare for your minds to be both amazed and enlightened, as you embark on the epic journey of discovering the solution to stopping global warming and CO2 emissions from inflicting their might upon the Earth, and how these solutions will help the American lobster, and many other species prosper in their environment. Now everybody prepare yourselves for this extremely special report about the lobster species that lives off the Atlantic coast of North America, known as the American lobster. And assisting us with this extremely special report is our good friend, and 5-time Emmy Award winner, CNN's Anderson Cooper. Hello everybody, I'm Anderson Cooper, and thank you for having me assist in the discussion about American lobsters and global warming. It's always a pleasure of mine. You should know that the American lobster typically lives in North Atlantic waters, but can range from Canada to North Carolina. A full-grown American lobster can grow to 3 feet long, and weigh up to 40 pounds. The American lobster's primary diet consists of an assortment of fishes, crabs, clams, mussels, sea urchins and sea stars. The typical lifespan of an American lobster is 60 years and sometimes more, although scientists have had difficulties directly proving these theories. Notable features of the American lobster include an exoskeleton, joint appendages, 10 legs, large claws, and a bilateral body structure, but they do not possess a backbone. The American lobster will typically live on the ocean floor on both sandy bottoms and rocky bottoms covered with algae, and sometimes they will use the cracks and shelters within this habitat to hide from predators, if there were a need to do so. American lobsters are a heterotrophic species, as they acquire energy through the consumption of other living organisms, and are known to have consumed species such as the crabs and clams. Cod are known to be one predator of the American lobster when they are in their larvae states, and also as adults when their shells are weakened during the process of shedding, also known as molting. When an American lobster and its shell are at full strength, the only real predators of the lobster are humans. A known predator of the codfish is the leopard seal.
Hello everybody, I'm Wolf Blitzer, and God bless America.
A known consumer of the leopard seal is the killer whale. A known decomposer in this food web is bacteria. Now that I've given you the background of the species, let's dive into the real issue here.
Hello everybody, I'm Wolf Blitzer, and I am the greatest of all time.
Which is the issue of ocean acidification due to CO2 emissions negatively affecting many species, including the American lobster. One of the biggest effects of acidification on the American lobster is the reduced rate of growth and development that the acidification causes. A recent study that was conducted to test the effects of ocean acidification on American lobster showed that the growth and development of the lobster's shell was severely reduced. One theory of why the shell growth was reduced to such a large extent was the need to reallocate energy to other important biological processes, including breathing, eating, and reproducing. This decline of growth and development is extremely alarming, as organisms need to grow and develop in order to maintain their full capacity. Another major detriment of ocean acidification to American lobsters is that a less developed shell will leave them more vulnerable to predators, which in turn has an effect on the food web because it changes which animals consume each other. Another negative effect of acidification on the American lobster is that it is also harmful to some of the lobster's key sources of food, therefore hurting the lobster by cutting them off from their source of energy. This affects both the food web and the diet of the lobster, as it changes which animals consume each other, and also which sources of food the lobster has to find to maintain energy. This also influences the habitat as it determines which animals will remain related to it. That is all everybody, and thank you once again for allowing me to assist in this special report about American lobsters and global warming. Now I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Wolf Blitzer, as he presents an alternative energy source that can be used to reduce CO2 emissions and decrease the amount of ocean acidification. Good night, everybody. Anderson Cooper out.
Hello everybody. My name is Wolf Blitzer, and today I'm going to inform you of an alternative energy source that can be used to decrease harmful emissions of CO2 and help to destroy global warming. The energy that I am talking about is the energy of solar power. First, I would like to give you some important information about solar energy. Solar energy is energy from the sun that is converted into thermal or electrical energy. Solar energy is the cleanest and most abundant renewable energy source available. Solar energy can also be harnessed for a variety of reasons, including generating electricity, providing light or a comfortable interior environment, and heating water for domestic, commercial, or industrial use. Solar energy has many advantages when it is used properly, but can also have some disadvantages too. First, I will explain some of the benefits of solar energy. The clean electricity from solar panels is a lot more effective in reducing the carbon footprint than regular utility power, and compared to most other fuels and technologies, solar energy is very cost-effective and can save thousands of dollars. Harnessing solar energy results in very little pollution, as it reduces the dependence on non-renewable energy sources, which is a very important step in addressing the current climate crisis. As mentioned earlier, solar energy is very versatile, as it can serve a variety of purposes, including generating electricity in locations that lack grid connection, distilling water in Africa, powering satellites in space, and it can also be integrated into the structure of buildings. Solar panels and solar-powered systems are very low maintenance, as certain residential panels require cleaning only twice a year, and some solar manufacturers give 20 to 25-year warranties with their panel. As I stated earlier, solar energy does have a few drawbacks as well, which I will elaborate more on now. Solar energy is intermittent as it depends largely on the power of the sun, meaning that access to solar energy is limited on overcast days, and is not available at nighttime. The storage systems that are used to keep solar energy stable can be very expensive. Certain solar panel manufacturing processes have been known to involve the releasing of greenhouse gases. The production of solar energy may require the obtaining of very rare and expensive materials. Now I will discuss the availability of solar energy. Solar energy is available all over the world, and solar panels are easily deployable at the consumer level. Solar energy is extremely abundant, as the surface of the Earth is the recipient of 120,000 terawatts of solar radiation. Through the first half of 2015, the solar industry supplied 40% of all new electric generating capacity, more than any other energy technology. There are currently over 22,000 megawatts of cumulative solar electric capacity operating in the US. Over 750,000 homes and businesses in the United States currently use solar energy as their main power source. Next, I will explain the general cost of solar energy. Residential solar panels usually cost between $15,000 and $40,000. The cost to install solar systems has dropped by more than 70% since the investment tax credit was implemented in 2006. The cost per each watt of solar energy has decreased in the United States over the past decade, and now costs between $6 and $8. Also, solar cells required in the production of solar energy and energy storage systems can also be very expensive commodities. Now I will discuss the total carbon footprint that is caused through the use of solar energy. In China, where coal-powered single-crystal silicon solar panels are used, the total carbon footprint is over 70 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatts per hour, which is double the amount produced by the non-coal-powered panels used in Europe. The most likely reason for this is that China has fewer environmental and efficiency standards for its factories and plants, and generates more electricity from coal and other non-renewable sources. A report from 2008 found that PV solar panels in the UK produce a carbon footprint of between 20 and 80 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatts per hour. A study conducted to test a polycrystalline silicon solar panel found that its life cycle estimate of greenhouse gas emissions is 32 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatts per hour. A meta-survey conducted in 2014 found that the mean value for a PV solar panel is 49.91 grams of CO2 per kilowatts per hour, with a low estimate of 1 gram and a high estimate of 218 grams. Next I will elaborate on the efficiency of solar energy. Typical mass-market polycrystalline panels run at about 16% efficiency. This low efficiency level comes from the silicon PV cell ignoring 23% of the incoming energy, and wasting 33% in light that arrives with more energy than can be utilized, leaving at most 44% available, of which about 16% is derived. A monocrystalline silicon solar panel produced in China takes nearly a year to give full retribution for the carbon emitted during the mining and processing of raw silicon to make the panel. Finally, I will give my overall assessment of solar energy and its validity as an alternative energy source. Solar energy is very capable of being an alternative energy source that reduces CO2 emissions, and for many reasons. A residential solar panel system, for example, has the capability of providing for the electricity needs of an entire home, with about 80% lower carbon emissions than fossil fuels, and one of the biggest ways to reduce carbon emissions is to mitigate fossil fuel electricity production. With lower carbon emissions, the adoption of renewable energy technology can help reduce global warming, and one way that renewable technology is currently being adopted is through the installation of solar panels. Also, the use of solar energy as an alternative avoids a number of costs and issues associated with fossil generators, including fuel and water use, air and water pollution, combustion waste disposal. I hope you have enjoyed my special report about solar energy. It has been an honor of mine to be here tonight. I'm Wolf Blitzer, and God bless America.
Hope you enjoyed the ride, mate. Until next time, stay cool, and I'll see you down under.